Before inviting technology into our lives, it's prudent to ask, what's it for?
Absolutely not. Say it again. You are. Wow. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Justin Barrett, president of Blueprint 1543. I'm a psychological scientist and a former university professor. On this episode, I want to talk about what's technology for anyway. Imagine going on storage wars and bidding on a storage unit's contents without having seen what's inside of it. You win and you decide to bring all of it inside your home. Just bring it right on in, again, without even figuring out what it all is. That'd be crazy, right? You could end up with, dangerous chemicals and machines that you don't know how to handle.
Destroy. No, abort! Can you hear me? Abort!
You could needlessly fill your house with perfectly good clothing, but that just doesn't fit your lifestyle or your body size.
Here, try you. I wore it as a younger man. I hate to throw anything away. You know the day you do, it'll come back in fashion, be also de la mode. Now, you darling, I have some lovely dresses. Take your pick.
Oh, no, really, I'm fine.
Honey, you're wearing a bathrobe.
You could end up with, farm equipment, and you live in an urban loft.
I was so smart to buy you guys 5 years ago. Everyone said, you don't have a garden. Why are you buying gardening equipment? And I said, I'll grow into it.
Before inviting technology into our lives, it's prudent to ask, what's it for? I think most of us think that it's to improve our lives. If we were asked, what's a technology for? Well, make my life better, improve my life, solve problems. But notice that those ideas of which problems need to be solved or how they should be solved, or the idea of improving or making better presumes moving toward some better state, and that we know what that better state is. We know which direction we want our lives to go. But what is that direction? And what does it mean to have a better life? If we aren't aware of and sort of thoughtful about what those directions are, what makes for a better life for us, if we don't get those values from our faith or our life philosophy, we'll end up adopting, what marketers tell us is a better life and what the technology is good for.
Go, live your dream.
I will.
Your dream stinks. I was talking to her.
The technology will maybe give us low maintenance relationships, right? Get us out of the messiness of real relationships. The technology will keep us from being lonely. It will elevate our status and make us look better, maybe better than other people. And that's what we really want, right? Or it'll help us make more money more quickly so that we can buy more tech, presumably, right? Those are the kinds of messages I think that we're getting subtly, or maybe not so subtly, from marketers about what technology is for. But of course, there are Christian perspectives on what technology is for as well. Like I said, technology, I think most of us would agree, technology is supposed to do something to improve our lives, to make our life go better. But go better toward what end? Well, the good life from a Christian perspective has lots of different kinds of features that we can see biblically that all kind of overlap and point in the same direction. Running down through each and every one in great detail would be a much longer kind of video. So I'll just give you a smattering of these ideas, like, Genesis chapters 1 and 2, we get this idea that God has created us to reflect God's purposes in the world. That's what humanity is for. It's to be God's image bearers in the world, his representatives. Sometimes the language theologians use is his stewards, to take care of each other and the world in the way that God wants us to. Or Galatians 5:22 and 23 tells us that we are, through God's grace and through us aligning ourselves with God's intentions, to grow fruit of the Spirit in our lives. We're to become more loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, kind, good, faithful, gentle, and self-controlled. That's what we're supposed to do. Or Matthew 6:33 from the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus tells his followers to seek first God's kingdom. And then all of the other sorts of things, the worries in life, the basic necessities, they're going to be added to you. So our first aim is God's kingdom purpose. But that's, of course, a big story about what exactly that means and a lot to work out for our lives. But Jesus also just summarizes the whole expectation on humans as Well, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's what we're for. That's what the good life is for. It's those types of things. So the more we do those types of things, the better our life is. But notice that's very different than work less, have more leisure time, look better, have higher status, have more money, have less complicated relationships. So the marketing messages that sort of back a lot of our new technologies don't necessarily align with Christian values for what our good life should look like.
Inconceivable.
I think when we're approaching our technologies, we should be approaching it through the values that we claim to hold most dear. And can those values then help shape how we decide to incorporate certain kinds of technologies into our lives? Can that technology facilitate that abundant life that Jesus wants for us? Can it help us to grow, to cultivate spiritual fruit? Can it help us to seek God's kingdom purposes in this world? Can it help us to love God and love others well? Technology should help us become the best version of ourselves, the version God wants for us. Andy Crouch, a friend and colleague, and just a wonderful writer, as well as a really gifted worship leader, a few years back wrote this really great little book called The Tech Wise Family. He takes a slightly different angle on the same kind of question, but one that I find really useful. He is emphasizing putting technology in its proper place, as he calls it. So I just want to share a few of his statements about what he thinks are some true things at every stage of life when it comes to putting technology in its proper place. He says, technology is in its proper place when it helps us bond with the real people we've been given to love. It's out of its proper place when we end up bonding with people at a distance, like celebrities, whom we will never meet. Technology is in its proper place when it starts great conversations. It's out of its proper place when it prevents us from talking with and listening to one another. Technology is in its proper place when it helps us take care of the fragile bodies we inhabit. It's out of its proper place when it promises to help us escape the limits and vulnerabilities of those bodies altogether. Technology is in its proper place when it helps us acquire skill and mastery of domains that are the glory of human culture: sports, music, the arts, cooking, writing, accounting, and the list could go on. When we let technology replace the development of skill with passive consumption, something has gone wrong. Technology is in its proper place when it helps us cultivate awe for the created world we are part of and responsible for stewarding. It's out of its proper place when it keeps us from engaging the wild and wonderful natural world with all of our senses. Technology is in its proper place only when we use it with intention and care. It's a great little book worth picking up, especially if you are raising children and you want to be a tech-wise family. But for this episode, I just wanted to put a thought in your head. The next time you're considering adopting a new technology, reflect on, will this technology help move my life more in the direction that God wants for my life, for me to become the best version of myself, for my family to become the best version of itself? Or is it going to be a distraction from that? Is it going to get in the way? Let's try to use technologies what they're best meant to be used for, and that's to improve our thriving. Thanks for joining me. As always, like, subscribe, share with other folks, share comments too. I would love to hear what you think about this topic or others that come to mind that you would like to hear me reflect upon. Thanks for joining me. I'm Justin Barrett. Until next time, let's be tech wise.